Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm in Sunnyside section of Linden, New Jersey, and I'm taking out a 100 amp main breaker panel. We're upgrading to 200 amp main breaker panel. We're also going to update the grounding electrode system, at least the grounding electrode going to the water main. Since we're going from 100 amps to 200 amps, we're going to go from what looks to be an old number 6 copper, and we're going to upgrade it to number 2 aluminum. That'll be the first thing we'll do. Then once I'm done with the water grounding in about 30 minutes or so, we'll turn off the main breaker. We'll identify our existing circuit breakers, and then we'll pull the meter and get into it. So thanks for coming back to the channel, and hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't, please hit that subscribe button, and thanks as always for being here watching these videos. My first order of business, as I said, is getting this grounding electrode done to the water main. So this is I'm not sure how to describe this house, but right on the opposite side of the wall is the garage where the panel is. So I saw this alarm wire, and I drilled a hole large enough to fit this number 2 aluminum, and I figured I'd get this out of the way before I turned off the power and started changing out the panel. So because this is 200 amp service, I need a number 2 aluminum for the primary grounding electrode conductor, which here happens to be the copper water main. It should be noted here that even though that water pipe is going down the wall and it's tempting to maybe use tie wraps to attach this grounding wire here, that is not permissible by the National Electric Code. So I think I put 3 straps down this maybe 8-foot wall. That's plenty, as long as it's secured to the wall independently of anything else. If you want to attach, looks like in the old days they would attach a piece of furring strip to the wall, and then they would staple it, the conductor, to the furring strip. I have a real nice cool tool collection, and I'm using my SDS Plus to drill some holes for the anchors, and then I attach the water ground clamps on the supply side and also on the customer side, and that's in the event they remove the meter. The grounding electrode will still be a part of the electric system, so that's why you need to jump from both sides. You also need to do the water meter from each side as well, from the hot water pipe to the cold water pipe. If you didn't already know, this customer found me here on YouTube, and so he's in New Jersey. He reached out and contacted me, and then a few weeks later we did the work for him. So thank you, Roberto. So when I do these panel upgrades here at PSE&G and GCP&L, a lot of the meters are locked, and the reason why they do that is because of theft. PSE&G and JCP&L here in New Jersey and New York and most of California, they lock their meters. So when I need to upgrade a service or upgrade a panel, I need to apply for a permit because the law says I need to do that, and that also turns the key to unlock the meter, because the power company's not going to come out and unlock the meter without a permit number. So one of the holdups with this job that I came and looked at about 6 weeks ago was how to apply for the permit, and then I got to get the permit approved before I can call PSE&G to have them come out and unlock the meter. So finally this week I got the permit. I called PSE&G and they came out the following day. They unlocked the meter, and right now I'm going to pull that meter so I can start changing out the panel. The nipple that goes between the meter and the panel is actually in the middle of this meter pan, which is, I believe, good news till I take the panel cover off. So I'll be able to upgrade that very simply to 2-inch, and then we'll change out those load service entrance conductors. The line side of the meter is always on the top lugs, and what the line side is the power coming from the utility. Then it goes through the meter to the load side, which goes to the main breaker panel here. So this is what we call a flush mount panel. This one's rather easy because you can see all the conductors there are non-metallic sheath cable, as we call it, Romex. And so working with them is a lot less labor intensive than, say, armored cable, the BX cable. That could take a lot longer, especially if you have to trim them up to fit into the new larger size panel. Here I didn't really, I still need to do that, but it's a lot easier when it's non-metallic sheath cable. So obviously I'm on the other side of this, of the panel on the meter side, but I forgot to bring the camera, but I thought I'd leave the camera here and show you what I had to do. So the reason why I'm struggling taking this out is because the lock nuts on the back side of the meter, it's inaccessible and it's rusted. And so I need to break the eccentric knockout in order to pull the nipple out to replace it. I'll be replacing this with a 2-inch nipple, which is sized for the new 2-aught copper service entrance conductors we'll be putting in. So getting this lock nut on was kind of a pain in the ass because the nipple on the other side kept moving. And so as you can see, I put a little of that black duct tape up top there to hold it in place while I tap the lock nut on the other side and tighten it. The last few panel upgrades I've used these Square D Homeline panels, and while they're nice to work with, by the time you go to put the panel cover on, they don't line up with the panel cover screws. And so you need to manipulate that, and I think I'm going back to the Cutler hammer for my next upgrade. Actually, the next one I'm going to be doing is in Oceanport, which is another job that I'm doing, but I haven't really been doing too many videos of that. The customer there has requested a QO panel, so we'll see if that's a little bit different. I've put those in before. I never really noticed the problem with the panel cover until now, but it is what it is. I like the Square D name, obviously, but if the panel covers are going to be a pain in the neck and it's going to not going to save me any time at the end of the day when I'm finished, I'm moving on to another brand. Okay, so once I get that panel in there, now it looks like I got all my conductors through. And that box that I'm working on right there came into the top of the old panel. So I had to reroute it. And if you see that yellow wire hanging at the bottom of the panel, that's where I drilled a hole and I snaked the wire up there to extend that circuit. It wasn't going to fit above the panel, so I had to extend it through the side. And so at the end of the day here, we'll put a blank plate over that and we'll call that a day. The green wire, that is my grounding electrode going to the 2 existing ground rods on the outside. The ground rods were there because this panel was upgraded in 2016 for the prior owner, I imagine. The owner here now has only been there for a few years, and so he wanted 200 amps. So that's what we're doing. So I was able to leave the 2 ground rods that are there and just reconnect them to the service disconnect here. I also had to drill holes to the right for the air conditioning wires. You'll see that gray cable coming out, that is service entrance cable for the air conditioning. That wouldn't have fit with this new panel because it's so much larger than the existing 100 amp panel that was there before. This is something that happens often when you're upgrading a panel, especially in a flush mount situation where the wires are concealed behind the wall and you really don't know where they are until you take that panel out of there. You can take the cover off and see that some come from the bottom and the most of them come from the top. But until you really get involved, you're not sure what you're going to find. So what I started doing here is I'm using all those white cable connectors again, the Mabel Arlington. I guess I'll leave the description I'll leave a link in the description below. But what I had to do, I kind of struggled getting the connectors on there because of these cables for whatever reason. So what I did was I used tape at where the sheathing came undone from the conductors so that the connector could slide over that much easier. There's 2 cables for the most part on each one of these button connectors. And of course, if you read the box, it allows you to do 2 cables in one connector. Definitely, if you're going to put in some kind of different connector, definitely read what the rating is on there. For whatever reason, inspectors really like to nitpick, and it's all comes down to the manufacturer of the connector, whether or not you can put 2 cables in and the size of those cables. So make sure you check if you plan on doing this one day. If you haven't already done so, guys, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It helps other people find my channel and obtain this information. So I appreciate that if you do that. Thank you. Once my branch circuits are done and all my neutrals and grounds are terminated and the circuit breakers have been installed as well, now it's time to install my service entrance conductors from the load side of the meter to the main breaker terminals here in this panel. So this panel is rated for 200 amps, and of course I checked with the power company before we went ahead and put the 200 amp panel in, and they said we're good. Looks like those conductors might be 2-aught aluminum, but that's on PSE&G side, and if they decide to upgrade them, that's on them. One of the things that happened to me on this job is I forgot to bring my service bag with me, and my service bag has my ratchet cutters and those Klein strippers for the larger cable here. And I'll tell you, I really missed them. It was like old school that day because I had to use my knife to strip back the copper at the terminals here, and I had to use a Sawzall to cut the conductors. So definitely love those new tools that I have in the bag, and I promise you I won't forget them the rest of this year for doing service work like this. So now my service entrance conductors are installed. I'm just checking for any shorts. I'm just doing a continuity test here, an ohm readout, so to speak. Once that's clear, I'm okay to go ahead and put the meter in. And then once I put this meter in, the line side continues the path to the load side through the meter. And that's how you get electrical power. So that's why I'm able to work on the load side and not get shocked. Of course, it's dangerous to do that. But I know the dangers involved, and I've been schooled, trained, and of course now I'm licensed. Here I'm just making sure I got 240 volts at 120 volts to ground on each leg, and I do. Now I'm going to go ahead and check each of the individual circuit breakers. I don't know what happened to the footage of me turning the main breaker on. I might have been standing in front of the camera, and I think I edited it out because there's nothing to see. But obviously you don't want to put that meter in unless the main breaker is off and all your individual breakers are off as well. And that'll protect you from any kind of arcing that might happen at that meter should you introduce a large electrical load with the circuit breakers closed. Of course, I've spoken before about these protective covers, and in reality, I should have put these on before I energized the panel, just an oversight. So if you have to do this live, just be very careful. And they clip on, and then there's a little hole in them to probe to check for your power. These are my two boys. The little one's Gus, and the big one's Gonzo. I don't normally repair the sheetrock, but this was such a mess after this panel, so I came back a couple days later and patched up these walls. I didn't do any spackle or tape, but we plan on doing some more work in this home where some painting and some spackling and some finishing will be required by another company. But in the meantime, I just patched this up so there's not a hole in the garage wall. Alright, so now you can see I just patched up around there. I didn't do any spackle or tape. Probably going to be doing some more work here. This is really important right here, is this duct seal that prevents the cold air from meeting the warm air here inside the garage. When that happens, condensation forms, and then the condensation dries up and causes rust inside the panel. It's actually in the code too. Here's all the wiring from my work here. Alrighty, got the whole house surge protector right here. And in a moment, we're going to identify all the circuits. There it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do that. Hit the like button and the notification bell so you can be updated when we put out our next video. Thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.